times of their lives. That's because we're here when you need us.
We have the tools, we have the power. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome into Miller Time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller, and we are back in studio after spending all last week at the Berkeley County Youth Fair. We are back on YouTube TV. Just go to YouTube and then WRNR TV, and you can watch a broadcast of the show as we do it live. We post that afterwards as well. And if you ever miss Miller Time, all you got to do is go to our Facebook page and you'll find a link to our website that will lead you to the program as well. And Matt, plenty to talk about coming out of what was a busy and dramatic weekend in sports, especially the way yesterday played out in both golf and baseball.
It was a fun weekend for sports. Not necessarily a good weekend, depending on who you were pulling for or what team you're a fan of, but overall in this area, pretty exciting weekend in sports.
We will talk golf a little later on in the program as Tiger Woods is inching his way back to being where he was before. He's not there yet, but he's getting closer.
I'm going to save my comments when we talk about it later. You know me, I'm going to get into this topic. So
you are a Tiger fan. And
I am.
So we will get Matt's take on that later, as he didn't win, but he came in second. And yet most people probably couldn't tell you the guy that won, but they can tell you Tiger finished second. Tiger was right there. Tiger almost won.
That tells you how much he means to the game of golf.
Maybe.
So I'm going to say right now, but I'm telling you, the fact that people are saying, and there are a ton of people saying that, shows you how much he means to the game of golf and how he means more to golf than any other one player means to any sport.
More than LeBron James to the NBA.
Yeah, because you're still going to talk about Steph Curry. You're still going to talk about James Harden. I mean, Tiger Woods is the biggest influence to his sport of all professional sports.
We'll talk about it a little bit later on. Let's see, over the weekend, there was, the Redskins and the Jets. We'll talk about this following the bottom of the hour. They decided to get together.
You mean Mayweather-Pacquiao?
Well, let's practice together. That would be a good idea.
Which is dumb to begin with. Can I just say that? Here, let's get together right before we're going to play each other in practice.
Right.
But why?
Well, the players apparently didn't like the idea either, as it was feisty, you might say. At least that's my old man term, you know. And then eventually it resulted in what was termed, at least the way articles were written, as a melee. It became pretty much both teams getting together and shoving each other around, although there were a few haymaker-type punches thrown. Anyway, it ended in a fight. We'll see if they can actually get together and play nice on Thursday night when they play preseason game number 2. Let's go ahead and go, though, to the major leagues, as our Washington Nationals had a prime-time game last night against the Chicago Cubs, the rubber game of a 3-game series. And the Nationals right now in need of every win they can get. Philadelphia lost yesterday, so it was an opportunity going in for the Nationals to gain some ground in that NL East race. The Braves had already won, so the Braves gained some ground, in fact, tied with Philly at that moment for first place. So could the Nationals get the job done? Max Scherzer is on the hill. You know you got
You're going to have an opportunity. And once again, I'm sure Max is sitting in the dugout today just shaking his head, going, how can this possibly happen yet again?
Listen to these numbers. Max Scherzer, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 11 strikeouts, just 1 base on balls. And he gets a no decision yet again. And the way this game played out was incredible, because Cole Hamels picked up from my beloved Texas Rangers.
And thank you, by the way, so far.
Yeah, because
so far he's been reborn.
2-0, and then a no decision last night, but he pitched well, giving up just 1 run.
And he added 9 strikeouts.
Yes.
It had a October feel to it. Last night's game was a game you sat down and watched and saw 2 pitchers that were playing the best they could have possibly played, and two offenses that came through in the clutch. Even on the losing side, the offense came up in the clutch for the Washington Nationals.
There it is. With a 1-0 lead in the top of the ninth inning, Ryan Zimmerman had a 2-run single up the middle, put the Nationals in front 3-0. And at that, you're feeling good as a Nats fan, right?
I was feeling bad as a Cubs fan. Let's put it that way.
So the Nationals are going to get this done. Well, of course, the Nats are without a closer right now. Kelvin Herrera went down with injury.
Sean Doolittle's been out a month and a half with a 10-day injury.
I was going to say, I'm still a little startled.
And I heard this morning he's still another week to 10 days away from coming back.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
he's getting ready to start rehab, though, right? I mean, he's going to be able to go out and do some things and begin to.
Yeah, but I think what I heard this morning was it's still going to be another 7 to 10 days before he can pitch.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what went on there because it didn't seem to be that major going into the All-Star break, and yet he didn't pitch in the All-Star game and hasn't been seen or heard from since. So with Herrera out and with Doolittle out, who's going to be the closer?
Sean Kelly.
Let's see. He's gone now.
Brandon
Kinsler. Kinsler. No, he's in the other dugout with the Cubs. So, okay, we call on.
Who looked bad last night.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He didn't look great last night. He hasn't really looked great since coming over, but.
Well, Ryan Madson got the call, and Madson struggled, to say the least, as he ended up with the bases loaded and did it by hitting a batter.
Hitting two batters.
Yeah, well, but the last one, I mean,
he hit Contreras to load the bases.
And he was a strike away. I mean, it was 2 strikes on the batter. Listening to the broadcast right here last night, Dave and Charlie were commenting about that Madson had no control over his off-speed pitch.
Mm-mm.
And that's the pitch that he had hit.
Both the plump batters, it was just breaking balls that didn't break.
So when he hit Contreras and the bases were loaded, the Nats broadcast team is basically saying, okay, here comes the pinch hitter, David Bote, and he's going to see a steady diet of fastballs. And it's going to become, can you hit my pitch? And in the end, Bote hit the pitch.
Dixie delivered. And a swing and a fly ball to deep center. Taylor's going back, way back at the wall, and it is gone. Goodbye. It's a walk-off, pinch hit, grand slam, and the Cubs have won the game and won the series. And this is about as demoralizing a finish to a game that I have ever seen for the Nationals.
And you know what felt like an October game? Because I get excited every time the Cubs win. I'm a Cubs fan. That's just how it works when you're a fan. You get excited when your team wins. I had a playoff game caliber of excitement when they won that game last night.
Oh, that stadium erupted.
I think just because, again, you're on pins and needles the entire game because there was one run up until the 9th inning. 1 run total. The Nats had scored on a sacrifice fly. And you're just back and forth pitching duel. You're on pins and needles the entire game. The Nats go up, you kind of go down a little bit, then the bases get loaded or begin to get loaded, and your anticipation goes up a little bit.
You could feel that 9th inning building.
Yes, absolutely.
The first guy gets on, and you're kind of going, all right, let's see what happens. The second guy gets on, and you're going,
Tying runs at the plate, okay.
Yeah, the Nationals have struggled in these situations. And then Contreras gets plunked. The bases are loaded. And I am sitting at home listening to this game and going, oh, no.
Jason Colrick and I, the other Cub fan that we reference all the time, we texted each other as soon as the game was over. And both of us said when the bases were loaded, we felt like something was going to happen. We didn't necessarily think it was going to be a grand, because how often do grand slams happen in walk-off fashion? Not very often. But we both said we had a feeling the game was going to get tied. But to walk off in that fashion, again, it was one of those games that felt like, because of just how everything played and the amazing pitching duel, it was one of those situations that felt like a playoff game.
Not that bad a pitch, to be honest. I mean, Madson it wasn't like a belt-high fastball right down the middle of the plate. It did catch the middle of the plate, I will admit.
Yeah, it was right down the middle, but was lower portion of the strike zone.
Yes, it may have even been a ball, frankly, when you see the pitching box that they put in there, or the strike zone
Which
box.
is totally false, by the way, because they don't change that every batter.
Right.
It's a generic one, whether you're 6'8" Aaron Judge or whether you're Dustin Pedroia. It's the same box. So,
but at the same time, not a bad pitch, and yet, well, Bodie took it out. This was his reaction after the game.
Hey, running that ball out, expecting 90. Contreras batted 2 pitches.
hey, baby.
Thinking about that pitch and got a good pitch to hit and hit it. So they've got me down there all
He hit it.
I knew he had that little two-seam sinker in there. I was trying to
These
get
are the
that
only
one.
two we got on this, right?
Yeah.
I got the center
Then I have a
field.
comment from Brooks Koepka and Tiger.
Okay, we'll get to that.
I have 2 comments from Jay Gruden, a comment from Josh Norman,
Oh,
and then
on
our
David
with
Walker, which will be
yeah.
next. How long's Walker? Well, Matt, as you said, you don't get a walk-off grand slam often, and for Bodie, you don't get grand slams very often in your career. Just his third and his first in the majors.
Well, he's now had one at each level he's played. Yeah, he's had one in high school, one in the minors, now one in the majors.
Oh, but he didn't hit one in Little League, so he missed one. You know, probably the time you'd think he'd most likely hit a grand slam would be in Little League, right?
I've one up on him now. Then.
There you go. So, and Jay Hay, what? Who?
Jason Hayward. You're not in the know as a
I was
Cubs
going to
fan.
say, yeah, I didn't catch the slang there as to who the Jay Hay kid was. But all in all, again, just another strong effort from Ryan Zimmerman, by the way, named the National League Player of the Week. He had a torrid week, a .476 average, 10 for 21, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 12 runs batted in, 4 walks, and 4 runs scored over a 7-game stretch. Wasn't enough, though, last night when you thought his base hit in the top of the ninth was going to do it. Bodie's grand slam in the bottom send the Nationals to a loss. We'll have a few more numbers game on that a little bit later on. The Nats and Cards go at it tonight at 8:10, pregame here at 7:30. We need a break.
We do.
When we come back, we'll talk a little high school football. Scrimmages were held over the weekend. We'll check in with Martinsburg and head coach David Walker up next on Miller Time. Can't play that. This is a national station.
You're at a red light. Sometimes it seems
I can
like
play
you
whatever I
never
want to.
change.
I don't want the
You wish
controls.
That's why you took the controls tonight,
I'm
too.
Lori from Bethel Jewelers.
That's exactly
I can't help you
why.
with street lights, but I can help you if you happen to have red lights at home. Red lights at home are even more frustrating than red lights on the street. No matter what you do or say, she gives you the red light. Is it possible to change that red light to green? I have incredible news. Unlike red lights on the street, you really can turn red lights at home into green. Put our light-changing gifts.
Lori
to
from
the
Bethel
test.
Jewelers telling you how to
Stop
score in the
at
bedroom.
Bethel Jewelers. In minutes, we'll send you on your way with a
She's a
little
lady. She should know, right? She should be telling us guys what we need to
a
do.
beautiful diamond ring, earrings with her favorite gems will help you pick the perfect gift. And when she sees her gift sparkling up at her, well, those red lights at home turn to green. Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South, Inwood, will help you turn red lights into green.
I'm Kyle Montgomery with NFL Network
Hi,
now
Kyle.
on the Westwood One Radio Network. It turned out to be an unexpectedly eventful Sunday for the Jaguars. Jacksonville suspending All-Pro corner Jalen Ramsey and DN Dante Fowler 1 week each for violating team rules. Fowler got into a fight at practice Sunday, video of which was posted online.
See, NFL players are still passionate.
Some anti-media tweets from Ramsey.
They're
As a
not.
result, both
They're
players
getting into fights. They're
missed
passionate.
Not passionate. They're cocky is what they are.
They're passionate about themselves.
Starting running back went down, punching the back of his right knee at practice on Sunday. Meantime, Packers Pro Bowl left tackle David Bakhtiari returned to practice Sunday after missing a week with a sprained ankle. And former Jets second-round pick Christian Hackenberg has a new home. The ex-Penn State quarterback signed with the Eagles on Sunday. Meantime, the Steelers added former Browns O-lineman Zach Banner, while Indy signed ex-Charger running back Brandon Allen. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
I used to leave voicemails for myself because the only one I could trust to get something done right was me.
Hey, you, it's me. Remember to order safety goggles and grab some milk on your way home.
But now I use
Hey,
Grainger.
you, it's me.
Grainger's got the technical support you'd expect from America's #1 source for industrial grade supplies. They're in the business of helping my business. So no more talking to myself. Now I talk to Grainger. Because when it comes to keeping your business running, Grainger's got your back. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's something out there for you and me.
This is a new one.
The American road is calling, so what's it gonna be? Hey, it's an amazing day, traveling our own highway. No matter where it leads us, we can smile, 'cause it's meaning in the mind.
Marathon, fueling the American spirit. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office
That
building
was an
is now
interesting one.
open. This new
I don't
three-story,
even know what it was
40,000
about.
square foot facility
It was a gas
is
station.
conveniently
Oh.
located off
Marathon
Interstate
Fuel.
81, Exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills medical office building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
Simply free e-checking from City National Bank.
Are we
Perfect
back?
if you want basic checking.
How long is the
with
interview?
service fees or balance requirements.
5
Stop by
minutes.
any of our 7 Eastern Panhandle
All right.
locations or visit
We
us
got time.
online at bankatcity.com. City National Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Monday evening. Matt Crawford at the controls. Matt Miller sitting along his left side. You can see that if you join us on YouTube at WRNR TV. Hey, time to talk a little high school football. The first 2 weeks of practice in the books, and that means the first scrimmage now in the books for area teams.
The first kind of scrimmage. It's a controlled scrimmage.
Yeah,
It's
so
not a full-on scrimmage.
kind of like
You're-
a fancy practice.
Yeah, you're not getting it's a joint practice. Like they're doing in the NFL and people are fighting over. No, but I mean, it's a useful practice in a way, or a useful scrimmage in a way, because again, it's getting to hit somebody that's not on your own team, but it's not, I don't know if coaches are getting a huge idea about where their team is necessarily. I mean, I'm sure it's a way of telling how far your team's come in the week or so of practice you've had, but I don't think they're getting a full-on idea or making permanent depth charts based on these practices.
Well, this week on Miller Time, we'll be looking to talk with each of our 6 Eastern Panhandle Athletic Conference coaches, getting a feel for how they felt their team did in their opening scrimmage, and looking ahead to this coming weekend when you'll get more of a real scrimmage situation. Most teams will play an actual half of football this weekend.
And those are fun. Those are fun because a lot of times it's against teams that you're not going to play in the regular season. So it's your chance to, and for local teams, a lot of it is going out of state and playing teams, or out of state teams coming in. So it's a way to get to play teams that otherwise you usually would never get to play.
Well, this past Saturday evening, Martinsburg had a very good showing against Fauquier County. Earlier today, we caught up with head coach David Walker, asking him what he saw.
I saw a lot of good things. Of course,
We did. No, you did.
Concerned whether it was us doing really good things or the other team
didn't
not being
invite
very
me.
good. Maybe a combination of both.
You
But I
weren't-
felt
where
like
were
our
you
kids
at that
played
time?
good.
You were here?
Working.
Most of the time. I mean, we made some mistakes, but overall, I thought we were solid. It pretty much.
Coach Walker doesn't like me anyway. He didn't respond to my text at one time.
Offensively and defensively, I thought we played well up front. I thought our athletes did a good job.
Let's go to some individual positions. Obviously, quarterback is a huge place that you have to, find the right person. You got 2 guys fighting that battle. Are you any closer to knowing who's the guy?
Not really. Both of them are doing a really good job, and I think this week, the next couple of weeks will be crucial for both of them. But if we had a game today, I would use both of them, and we may end up using both of them. And then, depending on your philosophy, some people think that's a bad thing.
Not a fan
It's
of that.
good thing. I think it's a good thing
What's
for
that?
us.
Using
I
two
think both
quarterbacks.
of those young men have very good skill sets and are a little different in their
Because at
style.
some
And
point you have to make a
we can use
decision.
Both of them, but as far as
At some point, somebody's going to be better,
for grabs.
and then you're flip-flopping back and forth, and it's indecisiveness.
So I'm pleased with both of them right now.
It turns into a Doug Williams, Jay Schrader kind of thing.
Shoes to fill there as well.
Granted, that ended pretty well. The Redskins won a Super Bowl.
I
But
think right now we've got a void at center. I mean, we had a kid that was probably going to be our 2 kids that we thought was going to be competing for the starting spot, and one of them's hurt, and one of them quit.
Never
So,
heard back from him.
that's not
right
good.
now we're kind of scrambling. So
At least I don't
but
think that's good.
I feel good about what we're doing in that position. We got about 3 guys that are doing some things, and then once we get AJ Brenninger back he's in boot camp with the Army. So once we get him back, he may be able to help us in that role as well. But I mean, the other guys we've got in there, I mean, Brandon Moran's our only returner back, but Michael Colonnade is doing a good
So I'm guessing
job.
Chauncey
And,
probably said, don't say
Ty
anything to him.
Lucas and
until we hear
Matt
something.
Minorski, who's probably the guys, the other four guys that are, getting most of the reps, but other guys, I mean,
That's gonna make me so mad.
Center, which he's he's not real big, he's 200 pounds, but he's a tough nut. And then
I'm gonna go on there in the middle of the day and
Ryan
bash
Vance
Chauncey.
and, a couple other kids.
No, that's unprofessional.
We got
I won't be
guys. He's gotta
happy.
get the right one.
Oh, we got to do
Let's
overtime
turn to the other side
commentary
of
of the show
football
too.
and stay on the line. Clearly, your biggest shoes to fill on that side.
Well, that'll be
on the
easy.
defensive
Our commentary will be
end.
celebrating Miller Time's
Well, I
birthday.
mean, we don't have a lot of
Oh,
depth.
I thought it'd be stupid inter-squad
some of the guys
practices
who made
that lead to
some
fights
on the
like the
offensive
Jets
side,
and the
on
Redskins.
defensive side, Ty Lucas and Matt Benarski are really solid. And when we moved Asa
Creamer Gaskins?
to the defensive line, we moved him defensive end. We was playing some linebacker, and he's done a really nice job. He looks good. Ryan Vance, someone else that that they just gave him some solid reps. And Luke Seelinger is a young man who's injured right now, and he would be a mainstay there if we get him back. He'll take some reps.
Pretty good sound for just
We'll
coming
get Brady
through a
back
fire.
as well. He plays there. So right now we're trying to build some depth on the defensive front. I think our first 4 or 5 guys are really solid, but we like to have.
I don't know how your phone sounds this much better than my
keep
phone.
healthy is
Like my sportscast and stuff.
How does practice change this week as
Uh,
you go
I don't
from
get it.
what you saw in that first scrimmage to preparing for your second scrimmage?
Well, we try to mold it a little bit and run it like a regular game week somewhat. Monday, Tuesday.
We'll come back with about-
heavier days, but we'll cut back.
About a minute and 15 left.
Down to about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours each day, and we're still working on the fundamental stuff, trying to get better at that. But a lot of it is just get them in a routine, like a regular game week routine, and then and we're not really a game plan for Patrick Henry, but we'll kind of show them a little bit of what they do and kind of try to mold it into what they'll be in the next few
Get my
weeks
sports
down the road.
report together. Are you ahead of schedule?
So tonight I won't
or
have as much
behind
to do.
schedule as far as where you might like to be, knowing that you are now within 2 weeks of your season opener?
I think that in certain areas we're probably
Man, he's a lip smacker.
right where we should be, and I think a couple spots we still are behind a little bit up front. We still need to do some things there, but our skill wise, obviously the quarterback being the exception, but our
30.
running backs and
30 what?
receivers
Minutes.
are all back
30
last year,
Rockefeller
so,
Center?
Minutes.
they're ready to go.
Past the hour in
It's
30
just a
seconds.
matter of getting in game shape. Still, conditioning could be a little bit better. Defensively, secondary looks good. Our whole back end, the linebackers have looked really good with what we see there. So I think we're in good shape as far as defensively. We're probably farther ahead than what we are offensively right now.
Coach, thank you for your time. Have a good week.
All right, thank you.
And there you hear from Martinsburg Bulldog head coach David Walker coming out of their first scrimmage on Saturday, heading into week 3 of practice. That is hard to believe how quickly the last 2 weeks have already flown by.
It's great. Guess would help if I turn my mic on. Yes, it is. Especially, it's funny to me. I know the county I grew up in, they just started practicing this weekend. So it's just funny how teams are differentiating, even in the same region, but not in the same state, how teams are. Again, the EPAC has been practicing for 2 weeks now.
And at the end of this week, Martinsburg on Friday night will head down to face Patrick Henry in the Roanoke, Virginia area. And then, at that point, they are 1 week away from the season opener, hosting Loudoun Valley on Friday, August 24th. And once again, you'll hear Martinsburg Bulldog football right here on Talk Radio WRNR.
The 34th year now?
34th year, 26 for me, and back together with Vic Holmes, Jason on the sideline, and Matt Crawford in the studio. Stay tuned for more Miller Time.
This might make for an interesting reality TV show. A president venting his anger at a woman he hired who now claims he's a racist with failing mental capacity. Mr. Trump calls Omarosa Manigault Newman wacky as his White House chief of staff.
Sayonara.
Loser.
Bye.
Stephen Portman says Omarosa-
Hey, take care of that Hornby house, please.
Don't kill anything.
This new recording given to NBC by the former aide has the president expressing surprise that Omarosa Manigault Newman had been fired. She tells NBC she's not sure if Mr. Trump was being sincere. But if he was, she says it's more evidence of how unfit he is.
John Kelly is running this White House, and Donald Trump has no clue what's going on. He's being puppeted.
Manigault Newman says she felt threatened by Kelly, calling her Situation Room sit-down false imprisonment.
Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says Omarosa may have broken the law. CBS News Update. I'm Sam Litzinger.
Wow, Bob.
Occasional rain and thunderstorms continue in the eastern.
That's all the way up.
Forecast for the next 24 hours or so. They will.
I might have to go in and adjust that.
It blows back to about 64, but they'll redevelop once again for tomorrow. They'll be rather random, but where they do develop, they could drop a good amount of
We didn't get any rain here, did we?
No, it's all a little bit.
Sunny upper 80s Wednesday. I'm Bob Cooper, Talk Radio, WRNR.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest school, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
Smith English is an independent insurance agency.
You going back on air anytime soon, or?
You see, there's an important difference between Smith English and agents who work just for one.
By the way, the Redskins and Jets are practicing again today.
They're practicing all week.
I didn't realize it was
All week going up to the game.
Smith English can design a program just for you, your family, or your business, and at the right cost. Smith English, Martinsburg, Charlestown, and Berkeley Springs.
Your NBC Sports
Why is everything so low?
The Giants say don't worry too much, but Saquon Barkley did believe today after tweaking his hamstring at practice.
Good.
They said
The Redskins can't have Darius guys. Nobody should have their running backs.
all rookies, the Bears and Roquan Smith, their first-round linebacker, agreed to terms on the rookie deal. As per the CBA's slotted deal, it's $18 million in guaranteed money over 4 years. Carmelo Anthony signs his 1-year, $2.4 million deal officially with the Houston.
Wow, glad he made a huge deal out of signing a 1-year contract.
Dumpy on the 10-day DL, retroactive to August 12th. He has a left.
I feel the way about the NBA that you feel about the NFL. I'm convinced of that now.
This afternoon, Braves beat the Marlins 9-1. For more scores and stories, as always, head to NBC.
Braves won today.
I'm Keith Irizarry. This is NBC Sports Radio. Come to Valley Guns 2 in Inwood for
No.
and Wesson handguns.
I won't.
The MP 2.09 millimeter full size.
You can't make me, Rob.
The MP 2.0 compact.
Unless you put a gun
Or
to my
check
head.
out the Model
Make me.
60 Pro Series Smith & Wesson revolver. For the ladies, there's the Smith & Wesson 380 Shield Easy. It's easy to load, easy to shoot, and easy to carry. See the full line of Smith & Wesson handguns at Valley Guns 2, Exit 5 off I-81 Inwood, West Virginia. Online at valleyguns2.com. Do you hear that? Nothing beats the sound of summer, unless it's finding a way to make cleaning your pool easier. Now you can with Pool Life. Our complete line of premium pool care products is the easiest solution under the sun for crystal clear, clean pool
Are you
fun.
ready?
Get the most brilliant
No,
solution ever seen all summer long with Pool Life. Only at fine pool dealers like John's Pool Supplies, close to Gold's Gym on Eagle School Road in Martinsburg. Ask about quality PVC hot tubs. Phone 267
All these are outdated.
or go
I'll have to read
online
the
at
Browns Funeral Home one.
johnspoolsupplies.com.
We welcome you back into Miller Time. Coming your way for an hour tonight at 6 o'clock. We're off to NBC Sports Radio. That'll take us up till about 7:30, maybe even be 7:45 tonight for the Washington Nationals
It's an
pregame.
8:10 first pitch, correct?
8:10 or 8:15. I've seen two different listings, and so generally they go about a half of an hour, but they typically will start, at the top or the bottom of any said given hour. So I'm assuming it will be 7:30. On the web page that we set the broadcast up through, which is Skyview Networks, they don't necessarily give you the exact start time, just like more game time. So it could be 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. We'll get you in that space. Well, I'm anxious to see how they rebound because you're still on the road. You had to travel after absorbing a walk-off pinch hit grand slam
And
loss.
that game didn't end last night till 11. They probably didn't get on the plane till close to midnight or 12:30. It's not a long flight from Chicago to St. Louis, but still, you're not getting to a hotel until 2:30,
right,
3 o'clock. Not probably falling asleep till at least after 3. Getting up, getting breakfast, going to the ballpark. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Tommy Milone looks like tonight.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 good – his first 2 starts weren't bad. One was an indecision, one was a win. And then came out in his 3rd start and looked awful. So it'll be interesting.
One more quick note on the Nationals, by the way, with the 1-run loss last night, 11-20 in 1-run games this season. Number 1, to me, 31 1-run games sounds like a ton.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games decided by just a run, and to have 20 losses by just one. They're 60-58. If you could just have that, they're in the lead in the East.
Well, what's the old saying? Good teams find a way to win close games, and bad teams find a way to lose close games. I think that's why the Redskins have lost a lot of close games in recent years. But I mean, you're only winning 11 of the 31 games that are 1-run games. You got to find a way to win some more of those.
And they have to be feeling a little pressure in each of those, because they're at a point right now they can't make mistakes. They have now had 53 games, including last night, where they have scored 3 runs or fewer. So there's pressure there. You better pitch well. You better play good defense. And I'm sure you're putting pressure on yourself at the plate that maybe leads to only scoring 3 runs because you're striking out, you're swinging at bad pitches, you're anxious up there. But they've got to find a way to improve on that as well.
I just think it's funny that this team it's 53 games now. They've only scored 3. They scored 3 runs or fewer.
Yes.
Yet this is also the team that has the 2 highest scoring games of the majors this year. The 18-run game they had and the 25-run game they had against the Mets a week or so ago. So the team that's not scoring a whole lot the majority of the time also holds the top 2 highest scoring individual team games this year.
They've got to find a way to spread those runs out a little bit.
They don't need 25 in one game.
It's like the doubleheader last week, right?
Yeah.
When they win 8-3 against the Braves, when they've got Jeffrey Rodriguez on the hill in a spot start, and then lose 3-1 with Max Scherzer on the hill in the nightcap of a day-night doubleheader. Could we have spared a couple of those runs in game 1 and used them in game 2? It doesn't work.
Don't you wish it was just that simple?
It doesn't work like that. Here's how it does work. It's the bottom of the hour, and we need to take a look at not yesterday, not today, but tomorrow in sports history.
Taking a look at the 14th of August, with today being Monday the 13th, the 13th, the day of the week that isn't cursed. Those are typically just the Friday the 13th.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Who weekends? You don't want to end the week?
That? I have no idea. 1936, United States beats Canada 19-8 in poor conditions of an outdoor basketball competition. The 1936 Olympics in Berlin, the United States beats Canada 19-8 in a men's basketball game, the inaugural Olympics with basketball. That's insane.
Outdoor. And they decided after that to bring it indoor.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was.
I mean, it's fun on the playground, and I can remember.
It is, but not when you're playing for a gold medal.
Right.
Although you'd think that in poor conditions and bad weather, Canada would be better. I mean, you think of the longer winters and the poor. You think Canada would have that advantage.
Let's play some basketball, eh?
Moving on down the list, the first night game at Comiskey Park. That happened in 1939. The White Sox beat the Browns 5-2.
So on that side of town, they started playing in the nighttime in 1938, and the other side
1939.
Of town, oh, sorry, 1988.
Wrigley was August 8th or 9th, depending on what you think the first official game is in 1988. 1973, Johnny Unitas files a $725,000 lawsuit against the Baltimore Colts.
Wow.
When he was traded to San Diego, they said it was a breach of contract. I had to research that one because I didn't know that. I couldn't figure out why Johnny U would be suing the Colts, but it was apparently a breach of contract.
So perhaps his contract had some kind of
no
a
trade clause. but he would eventually end up and finish his career out in San Diego. It's one of those weird things, like thinking about Joe Montana as a Chief, Johnny Unitas as a Charger. Where did OJ finish his career?
San Francisco?
Yeah, it was at
49ers?
Just those, you never remember the last team. I mean, Johnny Unitas is a Colt. Joe Montana was a 49er.
Yeah.
OJ was a Bill.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just funny to see pictures of those guys in those uniforms. 1988, Mike Schmidt hits his 300th career home run off the Mets' Mike Scott. 1982, Pete Rose, he was a Philly at that point, 12,365th at bat. You know who he passed to break that record?
No idea.
Hank Aaron.
Ah.
And one more for you in 1987. The Oakland A's, Mark McGwire. Again, everybody thinks of him as a Cardinal, or at least I do. You think of him as an A or a Cardinal?
Mostly Cardinal,
Okay.
but I do remember him with the A's, the Bash brothers, when he and Canseco were together.
Sets the home run rookie record at 39. He would go on to hit 49 in his rookie season. So he only needed 39 to break the record. Would end up shattering his own record over and over again, hit 10 more in 1987 to end up at 49. But remember, those were all steroid-induced.
He was a thinner guy back then. I mean, you go back to his rookie year and you could see the frame. I mean, he clearly had the frame to build on, but, you know, wasn't as big, obviously, as he got during that steroid era, you know, playing with the Cardinals. I just don't understand why you have to go do that. You're crushing a baseball as a rookie, hitting 49 home runs. Why do you have to do something to, I guess once you're there, you got to do something to keep it going.
Yeah, once you're there, you've set a mark somewhere and you want to break that. Athletes are competitive.
They are.
I mean, guys in general are competitive for the most part. And okay, I hit 49 home runs as a rookie. I can't come out next year and only hit 44 or only hit 45. So I guess in some way, shape, or form, that all the steroid users were thinking in that mindset. I get, because I mean, you hear a lot of the names that are involved with steroids, and they all had pretty good, almost Hall of Fame careers without steroids. Yeah. When you look at the Rafael Palmeiros, you talk about one of the greatest college baseball players of all time, was a phenomenal young player in Major League Baseball. Yeah. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, both just naturally talented guys. Andy Pettit, phenomenal pitcher. So it's just funny. It's just funny to think what's going on in your head. Even A-Rod, I can't stand A-Rod, but when he was a young kid with the Mariners and with the Rangers, he was a good baseball player.
I understand you enjoyed his call of the game last night, right?
I can't stay. Again, that's what I didn't really like A-Rod as a player, because he refused to ever admit he did steroids, and then when he did, he didn't understand why people were mad. I remember that was what, 2007, 2008.
I couldn't even
that time
tell you.
period, but. It was he denied, went in front of Congress, denied. Then one day decided that he was going to say, oh, yeah, hey, guys, I actually did steroids, and then didn't realize why people were so upset. Because you went on TV and lied for 5 years about not doing steroids and dishonoring the game of baseball, and then you expected, because you're A-Rod, to come out and think everybody's going to love me still and everything's going to be okay. But his Sunday Night Baseball commentary role is just awful.
But isn't that a very picture of, hey guys, just come out and tell the truth? Because you would think that after lying about it for 5 years, then coming out and telling the truth, he would be somewhat shunned from the game of baseball. And yet ESPN is willing to have that guy be the guy as the spokesperson, if you will, representing them and the game, doing color commentary on Sunday Night Baseball. So apparently there's a little forgive and forget there. Why wouldn't you just get that out of the way right up front? You know what? Yep, I got caught. I shouldn't have done it. I apologize for doing it. Now let's move on. And it would have happened a lot faster.
Well, they have too. If you look at Major League Baseball and the guys that either said they did it at the beginning or eventually came out and said they did it, they've been Andy Pettit. Nobody associates him with steroids anymore.
Right.
It's forgotten. A-Rod, I mean, with the name A-Rod, obviously A-Royd is going to be a very easy nickname for that. But you look at Rafael Palmeiros, still shunned by baseball.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, who refused to admit he did steroids, just happened to gain 150 pounds of muscle between the Pirates and the Giants. won't admit he used steroids and is still looked at as a heavy steroid user. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, two of the greatest hitters of the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, refused to admit they did steroids. And I think Sammy Sosa last year and the year before got like 3% of the Hall of Fame
I was going to
votes.
say they have no chance.
Yeah, they're not going to get in. So it really is, while it's seen to a lot of people as, okay, it's awful, even if you admit it, you're being shunned. That's not the case. Apparently, if you come out of the admit, you're seen a lot more favorably than if you just sit there and deny.
Speaking of denials, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but not a good weekend if you are a Maryland Terrapin football fan, which I know you are, born and raised in Maryland over near the shore. And it had to hit you a little bit because I know you've talked to me off mic about, this was hopefully going to be an up-and-coming type of season for a Maryland football program that has been struggling. But then over the weekend, really tail end of last week, and then exploding into the weekend, DJ Durkin out on administrative leave right now and probably is not coming back.
Yeah, most of the time when coaches go out on administrative leave, they never return or aren't there very long after they return. But yeah, just a issue with a huge issue they're looking into right now, in a case where it's involving the strength and conditioning staff and Coach Durkin on the death of an offensive lineman in an event that took place at the end of May, but he ended up dying June 13th, I believe was the exact date. And it was apparently just neglect to do anything, and he ended up dying of complications of heat stroke and heat exhaustion.
And part of the investigation into that, part of it at least led by in some way ESPN, or at least they've been able to gather a lot
they've been putting all the reports out.
Right. And so as they've been getting those reports, the issue clearly surrounding the death of this player, McNair, and just horrible to hear how all of that played out. But the issue really seems to be the
lack of action taken in a timely manner.
But all of that stems from the program as a whole, and where it was and how the coaches were handling their responsibilities and so forth that led to that lack of a reaction. Again, something that we'll be talking about a little more tomorrow. Also over the weekend, I really didn't expect a whole lot of news to come out of Redskins Park, or Richmond as they're at training camp. I wondered what they might do to try to solidify the running back position a little bit with Geis going down with the season-ending injury.
It's going to be Rob
They've done
Kelly.
nothing.
It's going to be Rob Kelly.
And Samaje Perine. I read an article.
No, it's going to be right. Jay Gruden has an obsession with Rob Kelly. I think you couldn't pass on Darius Geis in the draft, and he is clearly better than Rob Kelly. But since Rob Kelly's become a Redskin, Jay Gruden has liked him an awful lot. So I'm telling you, my bold prediction right here is in the third preseason game, Rob Kelly will get the start as he did in the first preseason game, even though Samaje Perine is going to be running back number 1, and week 1, Fat Rob will be behind Alex Smith.
And the Redskins held a joint practice over the weekend.
A joint boxing ring.
With the Jets. And all of a sudden I'm reading and seeing fan images and other pictures and videos as the Skins and the Jets decided to have what was described as a melee. Basically, the two teams came
together. Which was a little excessive of a term.
Yeah, they pushed and shoved each other. It did spill right to the edge of where the spectators
Some
were.
of the fan video they had there, it was like they're right on the range.
Up close and personal, that literally they could reach out and touch the players to try to, hey, guys, don't come any closer, as the scrum kind of made it that direction. By the way, the two teams are still practicing together
all week
until they meet on Thursday night in exhibition game number 2.
By that point, isn't the game kind of a moot point? Okay, we've been playing each other all week and doing situational drills all week, and now we're going to go play each other. Okay, well, we've been watching them run these plays all week, and we know what defense. That's like the third time you've hit your glasses on the microphone.
I'm sorry, it's really
it's
close.
all right. I don't like it at all.
4 preseason games, I think, is already enough.
And you basically have a fifth worth of practice week.
Then if this is what you're going to do, then cut out the preseason games again and just do joint practices. you can still get an idea of the talent, and that's really all you're trying to do.
Have 4 different opponents come in for a week at a time and do a
Sure.
practice all week.
Or stop all that crud and keep playing your preseason games if that's what you're going to do. It just doesn't make sense to me to try to do both.
And the Redskins apparently aren't good with sharing, because the Texans came in 3 years ago and they had this same issue. So apparently the Redskins don't like sharing their
bad
toys.
Reputation.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, let's see. When we come back, a guy who's trying to bounce back from a bit of a bad reputation, some things off the course, back trouble on the course. Well, Tiger hoping he is back after a very good showing at the PGA Championship over the weekend. I want to hear Matt's take on that, and we'll do that next on Miller Time.
Rich Greenback for Panhandle Printing and Design with the story of Billy Bennington. Billy wanted a new best friend, so he brought home a puppy. He didn't know his new best friend would keep him.
He brought home a puppy.
Now Spot isn't a puppy anymore. After almost a year of sleepless nights, Billy doesn't think of Spot as his best friend. That's when he turned to this intrepid reporter for Panhandle Printing and Design to help.
Who's
I
here?
know if you need help with everything from design to production of stationery, envelopes, business cards, invitations, vinyl signs, banners, vehicle wrap, and more, your one-stop print shop, Panhandle Printing and Design, can help.
I wonder if Sherry coming to like grab something.
At Panhandle Printing
Anybody here?
at 124 North Maple Avenue in Martinsburg. Call 304-267-7400, and you can even find them online, too. Here you go, Spot. Fetch. Well, Billy might have a few more sleepless nights, but don't stay up nights worrying about your printing needs. Depend on Panhandle Printing and Design.
Are you looking for a full-service web design company out here in the Eastern Panhandle? Then look no further than Pro Design LLC, specializing in web design and development, web hosting, and application development. Pro Design is a locally owned company serving local clients since 1997 with a reputation of quality, creativity, and personal touch. Let Pro Design build or redesign your dream website. Find them online at professionaldesign.com or phone 304-676-9940.
I'm Joe Ferretti of Ferretti Law
Hi, Joe.
Office. The most common question I hear from people
How many golf
in an
music?
automobile wreck or because someone else was at fault is, can their insurance company do that? If you call Ferretti Law Office at 264-8505, I will
Look up
answer that
Caddyshack.
question
Is
and
there
other
Caddyshack
questions you have
music?
for free. Get educated and get ready to fight back.
Who's the guy
Call
that goes, "I'm all right"?
264-8505 to
Kenny
protect your
Loggins.
rights and get the compensation
So,
you
how much
deserve.
time do you
For
have?
my 31 years of personal
minute
injury
30.
and trial
All right.
experience to work
Then
for
hit
you
this
at
next one.
Ferretti Law Office, we're here to help.
Bang. All right, go down and hit title.
To announce the addition
See at the
of
bottom?
orthopedic surgeon Dr.
Yep,
Fred
right there.
Clark,
Click
the
title. Now go down to the
Jefferson
bottom
Medical
and hit
Center,
K
and
for Ken, and it'll take you to the
Sports
K's.
Medicine.
And
Dr.
then
Clark
look for the
joins
name
Dr.
Kenny
Bradley White
Loggins and
the
see if
team at
that's in
WB
there.
Medicine Orthopedics
Just Danger
and Sports
Zone
Medicine
and
offering
Footloose.
leading edge, full service
Really?
orthopedic care.
Yeah.
Both board-certified orthopedic surgeons specialize
All right,
in
go back.
replacement and
Well,
general
yeah, but you
orthopedics,
can't hit
as
it
well as
again.
sports
So
medicine.
hit cart
For
and then
more
back to
info,
title
WB
again.
Medicine, Orthopedics,
And then
Sports
hit
Medicine
C for
at
Caddyshack, and that'll go up.
725-2663. Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Hidden Charlestown is a locally owned
Caddyshack theme.
7 conveniently located offices serving the Eastern
Beautiful.
Panhandle of West Virginia.
I thought we had some sort of
Virginia, and
Caddyshack
the
in
newest
there.
office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student
What's that
checking
guy's
account,
name,
a
Kepka?
college graduate,
Brooksy.
Brooks, that's it.
Brooksy.
or investing for retirement,
See, Kepka.
BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your
And I
financial
even
life.
got a Tiger
Also, make
comment
sure you are
on
following
Brooks
BCT
Koepka, not even on
Facebook
himself.
My BCT
He's selfless.
Facebook page to see how BCT
Yeah,
reinvests local
sure.
profits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I'm alright. Nobody but about me.
Perfect music as we welcome you back into Miller Time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. Time to talk a little PGA Championship.
18th hole of Augusta. Cinderella story.
It's in the hole. Everybody knows that, right? I tell you, it was dramatic golf. It was old school, if you will, to see Tiger Woods back in the hunt, but Brooks Koepka, a young gun who's really come on. especially in the majors. What, 2 out of 4 majors this year?
Yeah, he got the U.S. Open earlier in the year. He's now only the 5th player in history to win 2 majors in the same year.
Yeah, and
he wins guys like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and Ben Hogan.
So is he the next Tiger Woods? Is he the next? Because
nobody is going to be the next Tiger Woods.
He's a young gunslinger type of player. You know, he goes out.
He's not putting together the week in and week out all tournament productivity that Tiger did.
In other words, he's not dominant.
No, he's good. He's been good this year so far and good in majors, but it's not like he's going out and winning the Bridgestone, the Allstate Club, the John Deere class. He's not winning every single term like Tiger was in his heyday.
Well, let's hear from both participants yesterday. You're at the helm. I'll let you choose who goes first.
We'll start with the winner. We'll
We'll
start with Brooksy.
Nice. So there you go. Felt good, really incredible. He went through a little bit of a rough patch. I listened to our coverage right here from Westwood One throughout the day yesterday, and he hit a little bit of a spot there where it easily could have gone a different direction for him, but he was able to eventually come back and, you know, make some big drives, hit some greens, and then make some putts. Chasing him down, though, Tiger Woods. Let's hear from the man, the myth, the legend.
The guy's doing that.
Me too.
Straight, and as good a putter as he is, it's tough to beat.
That was me last Monday at the Martinsburg golf tournament.
It was.
Well, no, I did. I hit it 350 feet. I did. I think it was that far.
I'm sure it wasn't.
No.
Maybe 350 feet, not 350 yards.
Well, that's what I made sure to stress. It was more like 35 feet, probably.
And Tiger talked there about how good Koepka was driving the ball straight down the fairway. If Tiger could have hit the ball straight, that was his only issue, was the driver. In the front 9, he was 0 for 7 on fairways.
All right, you got 35 seconds. Is Tiger back?
Yeah, he's the last 2 majors he's played, and he's finished top 10 and was in contention and finished 2 strokes back, having his best Sunday tying his best Sunday score in history at 6 under, and having his best tournament since 2009. And look what he's done this year. I think it's safe to say that Tiger Woods is definitely back as a contending golfer right now.
Meaning next year he's going to get another major.
Again, I don't know if it's going to be a major, but he's going to win a tournament again.
Well,
I would like it to be a major. Obviously, he was close to winning a major this week, but not going to jump on the major bandwagon yet, but definitely could be a tournament again.
At least 10 years since he's won a major. Maybe next year will be the year to change that. That's going to do it for today's Miller Time.
He could be in jail.
On Talk Radio, WRNR, Martinsburg. Sorry, Rodney. Oh, and this segment is brought to you by Brown Funeral Home and Cremation.
Plug in one of those quick IDs, although it's not really an ID either. By the way, tomorrow we have to talk about this. I printed this out actually on Friday and still never got around to it today either. Did you realize Major League Baseball has announced that August the 24th through the 26th, in those games, players will wear special uniforms?
Yes, the player weekend. It's like their own nicknames.
Nicknames instead
they did that
of
last
last
year.
Names on the back.
They did last year. You remember that last year?
I do not. I think it's stupid, especially when you look at some of these nicknames that are clearly just contrived. There's no stinking way.
That's his actual nickname.
Right. There's no way that Adam Eaton is going through the clubhouse and guys are calling him Spanky. No.
You know, baseball players are kind of weird.
No. There's nobody in the clubhouse calling Bryce Harper Mondo.